A is for axe, that you may all know. B is the boys that make them all go. C is for choppers who early begin. And D is the danger we often stand in. So merry, so merry, so merry are we. No mortals on earth so happy as we. Dee-ide-ry, o-derry-ide-ry down. Give shantymen and grog and there's nothing goes wrong. E is the echo that through the woods rang. F is the foreman, had one of our gang. G is the grindstone, so merrily does turn. And H is the handle, so smoothly 'tis worn. So merry, so merry, so merry are we. No mortals on earth so happy as we. Dee-ide-ry, o-derry-ide-ry down. Give shantymen grog and there's nothing goes wrong. I is the iron for marking the pine. J is the jovel that's never behind. K is the keen edge our axes to keep. And L is the lice that over us creep. So merry, so merry, so merry are we. No mortals on earth so happy as we. Dee-ide-ry, o-derry-ide-ry down. Give shantymen grog and there's nothing goes wrong. M is the moss for patching the cracks. N is the needle for patching our pants. O is the owl hooting at night. And P is the pine that always falls right. So merry, so merry, so merry are we. No mortals on earth so happy as we. Dee-ide-ry, o-derry-ide-ry down. Give shantymen grog and there's nothing goes wrong. Q is the quarrels on which we all frown. R is the river we float our logs down. S is our sleds that are stout and so strong. And T is the teams that pull them along. So merry, so merry, so merry are we. No mortals on earth so happy as we. Dee-ide-ry, o-derry-ide-ry down. Give shantymen grog and there's nothing goes wrong. U is the use that we put our teams to. V is the valley we draw logs through. W the woods that we leave in the spring. And this is all that I'm going to sing. So merry, so merry, so merry are we. No mortals on earth as happy as we. Dee-ide-ry, o-derry-ide-ry down. Give shantymen grog and there's nothing goes wrong. Oh, come all of you young shanty boys, come listen to what I say. I want to tell a story that happened on that day. It was of 6 young shanty boys, so gallant, free and brave, gone to break the jam on Jerry's rocks. They met with a watery grave. It happened on a Sunday, it was in the month of May, when our foreman came up to our camp and this to us did say, turn out my boys, with your hearts so full of cheer, and we'll break the jam on Jerry's rocks, and for Danforth town we'll steer. Oh, some of them were willing, while others hid from sight. To work upon a Sunday they did not think it right. But 6 of our brave Canadian boys did volunteer and go to break the jam on Jerry's rocks with their foreman, young Monroe. They had not rolled off many a log till Monroe to them did say, I'll have you on your guards, my boys, for this jam will soon give way. He scarcely had these few words spoke, then the jam did break and go, and it carried away those 6 brave youths with their foreman, young Monroe. Oh, the news went to the shanty, and when the boys did hear, to search for those dead bodies to the river they drew near. Amongst those twisted bodies, which caused much grief and woe, all cut and mangled on the beach, lay the head of young Monroe. Oh, they picked it from its watery grave and stroked his raven hair. There was a form amongst them, her cries did rend the air. There was a form amongst them, a maid from Sagamore town. Her moans and cries did rend the skies for her lover who was drowned. Oh, the Mrs. Clark, a widow, lived by the riverside. This was her only daughter and Monroe's intended bride. The wages of her perished love the boss to her did pay, and a liberal subscription came from the shanty boys next day. Oh, when she received the money, she thanked them tearfully. But it was not her portion long on this earth to be. In scarcely just 6 weeks or so, she was called to go, and her last request was granted, to be buried by young Monroe. They decked the graves most decently, 'twas on the 4th of May. Come all of you young shanty boys, and for a comrade pray. Engraved upon a hemlock tree, which on the beach did grow, are the name and date and the mournful fate of our foreman, young Monroe. Not a thing on the river McCluskey did fear, as he swung his gourd stick o'er his big spotted steers. They're round, plump and handsome, girding 8'3". Says McCluskey the Scotchman, they're the laddies for me. Then along came Bull Gordon, whose skidding was full, as he hollered Moe Asch to his little brown bulls. Short-legged and shaggy, girding 6'9". Too light, says McCluskey, to handle our pine. For it's 3 to the 1,000 our contract doth call. Our skidding is good and our timber is tall. McCluskey, he swore that he'd make the day full, and he'd skid 3 to 1 of the little brown bulls. Oh no, says Bull Gordon, that you cannot do, although your big steers are the pets of the crew. I tell you, McCluskey, you'll have your hands full when you skid 1 more log than my little brown bull. So the day was appointed and soon did draw nigh, for $25 their fortunes to try. All eager and anxious next morning was found, the judge and the scaler appeared on the ground. With a hoop and a yell came McCluskey in view, with his big spotted steers, the pets of the crew. He says, chew your cuds, boys, and keep your mouths full, and we's like and beat them, the little brown bulls. Then along came Bull Gordon with his pipe in his jaw. To his little brown bulls he hollers whoa-ha. He says, chew your cuds, boys, and you need never fear, for we will not be beat by those big spotted steers. Says McCluskey to Sandy, we'll take off their skins, we'll dig them a hole and we'll tumble them in. We'll mix up a dish and we'll feed it to them hot. We will learn them damn Yankees to face the Bull Scott. After supper was over, McCluskey appeared, with a belt ready made for his big spotted steers. To make it he tore up his best mackinaw. He was bound to conduct it according to law. When up stepped the scaler, saying, hold on a while, your big spotted steers are behind just 1 mile. You've skidded 110 and no more, whilst Bull Gordon has beat you by 10 and a score. All the boys then all laughed, and McCluskey did swear, as he tore out by handfuls his long yellow hair. He says to Bull Gordon, my dollars I'll pull, and you take the belt for your little brown bulls. Oh, it's here's to Bull Gordon and Sandberry John, for the biggest day's work on the river is done. It's fill up your glass, boys, and fill up them full, and we'll drink to the health of the little brown bull. Oh, many a young Canadian boy left home and friends so dear, and longing for excitement to Michigan did steer. In the space of 3 months after, a telegram would come, saying your boy's been killed in the lumbering woods, and his body we'll send home. It's once I knew a farming lad, his name was Harry Dunn. His father was a farmer in the township of Purdon. He had everything he wanted, a farm with rich good land, but he only wished to have a time in the woods of Michigan. He started for a big city and hired out to a lumbering king, and went with pick and iron to the woods of Michigan. He worked away for 3 long months, and oft times did ride home, saying the winter will soon be over, and when spring comes I'll go home. He rose one morning from his bunk, no smile did break his brow. He called his chum outside the door, whose name was Charlie Dial, saying, Charlie dear, I had a dream, it fills my heart with woe. I fear there's something wrong at home, and it's home I ought to go. His comrades only laughed at him, which cheered him for a time, saying, Harry, we must be going now, it's time to fall the pine. They worked away till 10 o'clock upon that fatal day, when a hanging limb fell down on him and crushed him to the clay. His comrades gathered round him to take the limb away. He said, Charlie dear, my time has come, my time's come right away. But you'll go down with me, Charlie, you'll take my body down, and ask my dear old mother what made me leave my home. So early the next morning a coffin was brought down, containing all that was left on earth of poor young Harry Dunn. And when they carried him in the house, his mother fell like a stone. Oh, they picked her up, but her heart was broke when Harry, he come home. The poor old aged father, he lingered for a while, but never after in his life he was never known to smile. In scarcely 2 or 3 short months they buried that poor old man. So now you can see what a deadly curse hangs over Michigan. So come all of you young shanty boys, wherever you may be, don't leave your aged parents and from them go away. Don't leave your aged parents, stay with them if you can. But if you're forced to leave them, stay away from Michigan. Come all you true-born shanty boys, I pray you all draw near. 'Tis of a frightful accident that I would have you hear. 'Tis of a young and comely youth, James Wayland he was called, got drowned from La Clarence Rock, all on the upper falls. The river in its raging course, the water rolling high, when the foreman to young Wayland said, the jam you'll have to try. As he was picking off the logs, young Wayland gave a shout, to shore, my rivermen, for the jam is going out. Those mighty logs went end on end with fearful crashing sound, and when the shanty boys looked back, young Wayland had gone down. The foaming waters stormed and tossed the logs from shore to shore, and somewhere there his body lies, a-tumbling o'er and o'er. Come all you true boys from the river, and listen to me for a while, and I will relate you the story of my true friend and chum, Johnny Style. Down by the wild Mustard River, down by the old Emery Dam, one morn as we rose from our blankets, on the mustard we spied a big jam. As soon as we'd eaten our breakfast, we pulled for the head of the jam, and 2 of our boys took the pole trails for to flood from the reservoir dam. When the waters come rushing and rolling, our peavies and pikes we'd apply, not thinking that one of our number this day had so horribly to die. On the river there was none any better, on the logs and my friend Johnny Style. He had worked there more than any other, but he always was reckless and wild. But today his luck went against him, his foot it got caught in the jam. And you know how that streak runs a-howlin' when you flood from the reservoir dam. But we were all there in a minute, just as soon as he gave his first shout. But you know how that stream runs a-howling. It rolls in, but it never rolls out. We worked for an hour and a quarter. We worked till our time come to spare. And we had a whole well worked through her, when like lightning she hauled out of there. We rode her down and pulled up in dead water. We worked till the sweat it did pour. We pulled his dead body from in under, but it looked like poor Johnny no more. His flesh was all cut up in ringlets and rolled out as flat as your hand. We hope he's found peace for his body, while the Lord holds his soul in command. One evening last June as I rambled the greenwoods and valleys along, the mosquitoes' notes were melodious, and so was the whippoorwill's song. The frogs in the marshes were croaking, and the tree toads were whistling for rain, and the partridge around me was drumming on the banks of the little old plain. The sun in the west was declining and tipping the treetops with red. My weary feet bore me onward, not caring wherever they led. I happened to see a young schoolman. She was mourning in a sorrowful strain. She was mourning for her jolly young raftsman on the banks of the little old plain. Saying, alas, my poor Johnny has left me. I'm afraid I shall see him no more. He has gone on the lower Wisconsin. He's pulling a 50-foot oar. He went out on a trip with Ross Gamble, and he's left me in sorrow and pain. And 'tis over 2 months since he started from the banks of the little old plain. I stepped up beside this young schoolma'am, and thus unto her I did say, oh, why is it you're mourning so sadly, when all things is happy and gay? It's all for my jolly young raftsman, for whom I so sadly complain. He has left me alone here to wander on the banks of the little old plain. Will you please tell me what kind of clothing your jolly young raftsman did wear? For I also belong to the river, and perhaps that I've seen him somewhere. If to me you will plainly describe him, and tell me your young raftsman's name, oh, perhaps I can tell you the reason he's not back to the little old plain. Why, his pants were made out of 2 meal sacks, with a patch a foot square on each knee. His shirt and his jacket was dyed with a bark from the butternut tree. He wore a large open-faced ticker with almost a yard of steel chain when he went away with Ross Gamble from the banks of the little old plain. His name it was honest young Murphy, and honest was he to a shame, and he was as jolly a raftsman as ever was on the old plain. He was stout and stalwart and manly, his height about 6'1". His hair was inclined to be sandy, and his whiskers as red as the sun. His age it was somewhere about 30. He neither was foolish nor vain. He loved the Wisconsin River, was the reason he left the old plain. Was Johnny Murphy the name of your raftsman? I used to know him quite well, but sad is the tale I must tell you. Your Johnny is down in the dell. They buried him down in the valley. You will never behold him again. No stone marks the spot where your raftsman sleeps, far from the little old plain. When the schoolma'am had heard this sad story, she fainted and fell as if dead. I scooped up my hat full of water and poured it on top of her head. She opened her eyes and looked wildly, like someone that's nearly insane, and I was afraid she would perish on the banks of the little old plain. She says, my curses light on you, Ross Gamble, for taking my Johnny away. I hope that the ague will seize you and shake you down into the clay. May your lumber go down to the bottom and it never rise up again. You had no business taking Johnny Murphy away from the little old plain. Now I will desert my vocation. I'll not teach district school anymore, and I'll go somewhere where I'll never hear the squeak of a 50-foot oar. I'll go to some far foreign country, to England, to France, or to Spain, but I'll never forget Johnny Murphy or the banks of the little old plain. Come all you jolly fellows, how would you like to go and spend the winter pleasantly in Canada-I-O? Oh, we're going up to Canada, is what we young men say, and going up to Canada depends upon the pay. It's sure we'll pay good wages, we'll pay your passage out, but you must sign a paper that you will stay the route. Oh, we're going up to Canada, is what we young men say, and going up to Canada depends upon the pay. But if you should get homesick, say back home you'll go, we will not pay your passage from Canada-I-O. Oh, we're going up to Canada, it's what we young men say, and going up to Canada depends upon the pay. We had a pleasant journey, the route we had to go, we landed in 3 Rivers in Canada-I-O. Oh, we're going up to Canada, is what we young men say, and going up to Canada depends upon the pay. Then the Norcross agent, he come a-prowling round, saying, now my jolly fellows, why don't you all lay down? Oh, we're going up to Canada, it's what we young men say, and going up to Canada depends upon the pay. Our food the dogs would bark at, our beds are on the snow, we suffered worse than poison there in Canada. Oh, we're coming back from Canada, is what we young men say, no more to go to Canada, no matter what the pay. I'm a broken-hearted wanderer, from Greenville I came. My joys have departed, my virtues the same. The dark darts of Cupid have caused me much grief. My heart is nigh broken, and I can find no relief. My occupation, I'm a riverman, where the white waters roll. My name is engraved on the rocks, sands, and shoals. From housetops to bar shops, I'm very well known. They call me Jack Haggerty, I'm the pride of the town. My story I'll tell you without very much delay. How a sweet little lassie my heart stole away. She was a blacksmith's daughter by the flat riverside, and I always intended to make her my bride. Oh, her form like a lily was slender and neat. Her hair hung in ringlets to her tiny white feet. Her voice was far sweeter than the winds on our lee, and her skin was as white as the foam of the sea. I took her to supper, to parties and balls. Sunday morning go riding and making our calls. I called her my darling, thought she'd be my wife. When I think of her treachery, I could near take my life. Oh, I dressed her in jewels and the finest of lace. The finest of muslins to her I embraced. I gave her my wages for her to keep safe. I begrudged her of nothing that I had on this earth. I worked on the river and I saved a large stake. I was steadfast and steady, I ne'er played the rake. While with the boys working on the swift boiling stream, her face before me, she haunted my dreams. One day while on the river, a letter I received, and she said from her promise herself she'd relieved. to be married to another she long had delayed, and the next time I saw her she would not be a maid. Now the getting of this letter sure caused me surprise. When I think of it now it brings tears to my eyes. My brain reels with anger and it makes me quite mad. I am weary and heartsick and I wish myself dead. On her mother, Jane Tucker, I lay all the blame. She caused her to forsake me and to blacken my name, and to cast off the rigging which God soon would tie, and left me a wanderer till the day that I die. On the banks of Flat River I can no more rest, so I'll shoulder my peavey and I will go west. I'll go to Muskegon, a new job to find. I'm leaving Flat River and my false love behind. So come all you jolly raftsmen, so brave and so true, don't trust a young girl, you beat if you do. When you meet a fair lassie with bright golden curls, just remember Jack Haggerty and his Flat River girl. Come all you good fellows, wherever you be, come sit down a while and listen to me. The truth I will tell you without a mistake, but the rackets we had round the Blue Mountain Lake, derry down, 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 derry down. There's the Sullivan brothers and Big Jimmy Lou, and old Mose Gilbert and Dandy Pat too. A good lot of fellows as ever was seen, and they all work for Griffin on Township 19, derry down, 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 derry down. Bill Mitchell, you know, he kept our shanty, and as mean a damn man as you ever did see. He'd lay round the shanty from morning to night. If a man said a word, he was ready to fight, derry down, 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 derry down. One morning 'fore daylight, Jim Lou, he got mad, knocked hell out of Mitchell and the boys was all glad. And his wife, she stood there, and the truth I must tell, she was tickled to death to see Mitchell catch hell, derry down, 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 derry down. Old Griffin stood there, the crabby old drake, a hand in the racket we thought he would take, when some of the boys came and led him away. Becripe, says old Griffin, I've nothing to say, derry down, 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 derry down. You can talk of your fashions and your styles to be seen, but none can compare with the cook of 19. She's short, thick and stout, without a mistake, and the boys call her Nellie, the belle of Long Lake, derry down, 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 derry down. And now, my good fellow, so adieu to you all. Christmas is coming, I'm going to Glens Falls, and when I get there, I'll go out on a spree. For you know when I've money, the devil's in me, derry down, 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 derry down. When I came to this country, 'twas 1865, I thought I was most lucky to find myself alive. The stillhouse door was open and the liquor running free. As soon as one glass was empty, another was filled for me. I harnessed up my horses, my business to pursue. I went to hauling coal, just like I used to do. Instead of hauling 6 loads, I couldn't haul but 4. I got so darn drunk, boys, that I couldn't haul no more. I finished up my supper, boys, and I went out to the barn. I thought I'd go a-courtin', but it did not mean no harm. I saddled up old Gray, and we passed the old flour mill. I scarcely knew a thing till I got to Watson's Hill. I met an old acquaintance there, his name I can't recall. He told me that night where there was to be a ball, hard to persuade, but at last I did give way to go to the place where the fiddle was to play. My father came traveling after, I've often heard them say. He must have had a pilot, or he couldn't have found the way. He come peeping through the keyhole where he could spy a light, till his hair grew all wet with the frosty dews of night. Now it's well I remember the last circumstance, when four of us fellows got upon the floor to dance. The fiddler was so jolly, and his arm it was so strong, that he played the crowns of Ireland full 4 hours long. Well, the morning star has dawned, my boys, and we have danced enough. We'll spend half an hour gathering cash for snuff. We return to the plow, boys, to whistle and to sing, but we never will return to the lumber woods again. Welcome all of you old women that carry the news about. Don't make it any worse, for it's bad enough without. Come all of you young ladies who make such a fuss, you'll be guilty of the same, or perhaps a damn sight worse. As lonely I strayed by the banks of the river, watching the sunbeams as evening drew nigh. As onward I rambled, I spied a fair damsel, who was weeping and wailing with many's a sigh. She was sighing for one who no longer was living. She was weeping for one whom no mortal could save, for the dark rolling waters flow sadly around him, as onward they speed for her young Jimmy's grave. Oh, it's darling, said she, won't you come to my arms, and give me fond kisses as oft you have gave, my dear and my darling, my lost Jimmy Whalen. Oh, come to me, Jimmy, oh, come from your grave. Oh, it's then there arose from the depths of the river a vision of beauty as bright as the sun, with robes of bright crimson encircled around him. And it's unto his fair one to speak he begun, saying, why have you called me from the realms of glory? All back to this cold world I'll soon have to part, for you to embrace me once more in your arms. Oh, press me, dear Jimmy, press me to your heart. Then its cold was the arms he encircled around her, and its cold was the bosom she pressed to her heart. Oh, one fond embrace, love, and then I must leave you. Oh, one loving kiss, and then we must part. Oh, it's then right away he appeared to be vanished, and into the clouds he appeared for to go, all leaving his fair one distracted and lonely, weeping and wailing in anguish and woe. Then throwing herself on the bank of the river, and sighing as though her poor heart it would break, sang, my dear and my darling, my lost Jimmy Whalen, I'll sigh till I die by the side of your grave. My name is Peter Amberley, as you may understand. I was born in Prince Edward Island down by the ocean strand. In 1881 with the flowers' brilliant hue, I left my native island, my fortune to pursue. I landed in New Brunswick, that lumbering country, and worked at cutting tall trees down and proved my destiny. I hired to work in the lumber woods to cut the tall spruce down, and loading two sleds in the afternoon, I received a deadly wound. There's danger on the ocean when the waves roll mountain high. There's danger on the battlefields when the angry bullets fly. There's danger in the lumber woods, and death lurks always there. And I have fell a victim unto its monstrous snare. Here's adieu unto my father, it was he who drove me here. I thought him very cruel, his treatment was severe. It is not right to press a boy or try to keep him down. It often makes him leave his home when he is far too young. Here's adieu unto a dearer one, I mean my mother dear, who raised a son who fell as soon as he left her tender care. It's little did my mother think when she sang me lullabies, what country I might travel in, and what death I would die. Here's adieu to Prince Edward Island, that garden in the seas. No more I'll walk her flowering banks to enjoy a summer breeze. No more I'll watch those gallant ships as they go sailing by, with streamers floating in the air above their canvas high. Here's adieu unto the younger ones, the island girls so true. Long may they live to grace the soil where my first breath I drew. But the world will roll on just the same as before I passed away. What signifies a single man when he's beneath the clay? But there's one request I'll have to make before I pass away. I hope some holy father will bless my peaceful grave, so near the city of Boys Town, where my mouldering bones will lay, to wait my Savior's calling on Resurrection Day. Come all young men and parents who have not yet been told, if you'll but listen to me, 'twould make your blood run cold. 'Twas of a poor unfortunate lad, he was known both far and near, and his parents raised him tenderly, not many miles from here. In the township of Arcady, in the county of Lapeer, over stands a little shingle mill. It has scarcely run 1 year. It was there this cruel deed was done, caused many to weep and wail. It was there this young man lost his life. His name was Harry Bale. On the 29th of August, in the springtime of the year, he went to work as usual, and no danger did he fear. By the lowering of the feed bar, which brought the carriage into gear, it hauled him out upon the saw, and cut him so severe. He was then thrown out upon the saw by the carriage coming back. It cut him down the shoulder blade and partway down the back. He started for the shanty, but his life was fading fast. He says, "My boys, I'm wounded, and I fear it is my last." Oh, the doctors, they were sent for, and his mother came also. And the doctors tried to heal his wounds, but alas, it was too cruel. No sister had poor Harry to weep beside his bed. No tender, loving father, alas, they both were dead. He lingered on one day and night, and death did ease his pain, and stilled his voice forever. He will never speak again, and the springtime it will come again to greet this wild domain, and the little birds in the leafy bars will sweetly sing again. And they put him in his coffin, and they fitted him for his grave, while his friends and his mother mourned the loss of this young man so brave. And the fond ones that he left behind will bless the love he gave by planting wreaths of flowers around poor Harry's grave. Oh, come all you jolly fellas and just listen to my song concerning the brave shanty boys and how they get along. They are the jolliest set of fellows that ever you can find, these boys who work all winter cutting down the pine. It was on the Big Eau Claire that I commenced my wild career, and many a yoke of oxen that before me jumped with fear. With my old trusty gorge stick, oh, the truth I will unfold. I caused the bulls to tremble and to skid the big buck logs. Oh, some will leave their homes and the friends they love so dear, and for the lonesome woods their pathway they will steer. There are farmers and sailors, likewise mechanics too, and all sorts of tradesmen found with the lumber crew. Oh, the choppers and the sawyers, they lay the timbers low. The skidders and the swampers, they holler to and fro. Next comes the sassy loaders before the break of day. It's come load up your teams, my boys, and to the woods away. On the cold and frosty mornings we shiver with the cold. The ice is on our jam pikes which we can scarcely hold. Night time rolls around and the foreman loudly screams, "Lay down your saws and axes, boys, and haste to pork and beans." Arrived at the shanty with wet and icy feet, they off with their boots and pikes, for supper they must eat. The cookie hollers supper, and to supper we all go, for it's not the style of a shanty boy to miss his hash, you know. The boots and packs and rubbers are all thrown off to one side. The mitts and socks and rags are all hung up to dry. At 9 o'clock or thereabouts into our bunks we crawl, to sleep away the few short hours until the morning call. At 4 o'clock in the morning the foreman loudly shouts, "Come roll out, you teamsters, it's time that you're out." The teamsters, they get up and their things they cannot find. They'll blame it on the swampers and they'll curse them till they're blind. When the springtime rolls around, why, the foreman he will say, "Lay down your saws and axes, boys, in haste to break away." And when the floating ice goes out in business, then we'll thrive. Hundreds of able-bodied men are wanted on the drive. So it's now my song is ended, and you know my words are true. And if you doubt a word of it, go ask Jim Porter's crew. For it was in Jim Porter's shanty that this song was sung with glee. And that's the end of my shanty song. It was composed by me.